HarperCollins presents The Garden Club Murders, The Bingo Hall Detectives 4, by Jonathan Whitelaw, read by Sid Sagar. Chapter 1. Foeniculum Vulgare. Jason sat bolt upright. Going from sleeping soundly to wide awake in a matter of microseconds was bad. It always had been. Christmas mornings as a child had been the worst. When he'd finally been able to get some shut-eye, usually several hours after being sent to bed on Christmas Eve, he'd wake up in something more akin to panic rather than excitement. The sudden change in state brought on by the realization that it was finally Christmas morning always got the adrenaline flowing. And as Amita, his mother-in-law, liked to remind him, he was still a big kid at heart, despite supposedly being older and wiser. Tonight, however, it was different. No sleigh bells, no ho-ho-hos to wake him up. This time it was something else, something sinister that had roused him. He knew from the cold chill that pricked his skin. Jason looked around the bedroom. It was dark, yes, but unsettlingly so. The new blackout curtains he had bought were working, a little too well, in fact. The blazing, sulphurous glow of the street light outside had ruined his sleep for decades. He had finally taken action last month. Now, in an unexpected turn, he had given himself a new problem, namely the pitch-black obstacle course of the bedroom if he ever wanted to get up during the night. His shins were black and blue from bumping into things, and he'd sent a lamp and a glass of water flying in the past week alone. The simple solution would be to take down the curtains, but that would be a sign of defeat. They were staying forever. Jason was adamant about that, even if he ended up maimed and broken by the bedroom suite. He let his eyes adjust to the darkness. Slowly the shapes and layout came back to him. He shook off the grogginess of sleep and listened carefully. There was nothing, only silence. It was after midnight. The whole house was still now, peaceful even, almost as if it was holding its breath. The children were likely sound asleep down the hall. No small person stood in the doorway asking for a drink or proclaiming a headache, and rather was beside him, back turned to him, deep in slumber. So what had woken him? He'd been dead to the world, but through his sleep he knew he had possibly heard a thump, maybe even a crash. Had it come from outside? Were the neighbours making a late-night dash to the hospital for some awful emergency? Or was this them just getting home? Sunday morning before sunrise really wasn't the Bidmeads' style. In the 14 years that Jason had known them, he'd never seen his neighbour, Patrick, without a shirt and tie on, even when he cut the grass, which he did with military precision once the season started. It put their own straggling front lawn to shame. No, this was something altogether different. It was something suspicious. Jason flung the duvet back. He half hoped the movement might stir his wife. 2 heads were better than 1, after all. Rather didn't budge. Jason cursed a little. He envied his wife's ability to sleep soundly through almost any noise from outdoors, and yet she was up like a coiled spring as soon as one of the kids coughed, sneezed, or even hiccuped in the night. Jason slipped out of bed. Carefully making his way to the door, he crept out into the hallway. It was just as dark out there. All the bedroom doors were closed. He lingered for a moment, standing in the silence like an unearthed Roman statue. He was beginning to think his imagination was playing tricks on him, that there had been no sound at all. Then he heard it again. A bump, dull and quick, but definitely there. "Bloody hell," he muttered, feeling a creeping dread come over him. Another bump just heightened the sensation. It was coming from downstairs, directly below him, in the kitchen. Jason panicked, as he tended to do. He couldn't remember if he'd locked the back door before going to bed. Not that it mattered, he supposed. Any self-respecting burglar would be able to bust the rusty Yale lock and dodgy hinges. A good gust of wind from the garden would be able to open that thing, he admitted. He looked about the hall for some kind of weapon. Of all the nights, the intruder had picked the one when the house was remarkably tidy. There were no Lego bricks to stand on, no Barbie dream house to get entangled in and twist an ankle. There weren't even any teddy bears to
Sample complete. Ready to continue?